Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
Hello all you Martians out there. It's your Terran fixed foot soul with a bit of that old world flavour. You're tuned to Radio Nostalgia from Mars. Breathe easy, kick back, and reminisce.
Take my hand, explain to me this project called humanity. Don't let go while on this ride. There will be no surprise. All I know is that we shouldn't be sad when we think of the road ahead. Take my hand, don't let go. I know we won't get lost on our way home. Take my hand, don't let go. The signs are fake and the maps are false, but we must go on. Whisper directions through our keys as we drift through this metropolis. Take your earphones off and listen to me, and I'll guide you through this cacophony. People talk, but they've nothing to say. Why would anyone know the way? Take my hand, don't let go. I know we won't get lost on our way home. Take my hand, don't let go. The signs are fake and the maps are false, but we must go on. Take my hand, we're almost there. I'm not going anywhere. No GPS, no Google Maps. They can help us with collecting photos. All I know is that we shouldn't be sad when we think of the road ahead.
Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
Wow, what a way to start the show. Anna Chuchin with Take My Hand, her sublime take on our wonderful project called Humanity. Beautiful. Plenty more to come into Soul Show, a show packed with stories and music to remind ourselves of where we are and how far we've come. Our first caller for the show calls it like it is, and was a hard-hitting look back at the last days on Earth from the perspective of a shrewd businessman and loving father. Stories, memories, the good old days, original sources, authentic tales, hope, inspiration, drama. Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
I worked in oil, brokering gasoline to be exact. It's a strange business, probably not like you would actually imagine it to be. My day started something like this. I check Reuters and my sheets. See if there's been a change in the fundamentals. See if the spread's up or down. And then when the clock strikes go, I'm on the phone. I could be calling some commercial shop in Bumble, Kansas, where little old Sue loves to know how my daughter's doing. Or I could be trying to get into the head of a powerful Russian who knows the world wants his phone number. That's when the psychology kicks in, and I go to work. If they pick up the phone, they're mine. That's the game. I started when I was 29, 30. My boss was a coked-up, perma-tanned moron who was wasted by lunch. More money than sense. Screaming at waiters because, you don't drink gin out of a glass like that. And Caesar salad is supposed to have 8 pieces. 8 pieces of chicken, you stunted fool. Stunted fool was his favorite insult. This coming from a guy who was 5 foot and nothing. That was pretty much my life. 24/7. I traveled a lot, meeting clients all over the world. The Amazon, the Gulf, Siberia, Central Asia, the States, Singapore, everywhere. Looking back, I can't claim that I ever would recommend that life, nor can I claim that I was ever really happy doing it. But it was fun. I mean, talk about your share of moments. There was this one girl, some strange mix of Algiers and Paris, with some sprinkle of Havana, a dancer, naturally. So pretty. She'd turn a priest's head or give a nod. Sometimes I wonder what happened to her. But we all had the same feeling. This can't last. And sure enough, we were right. First, you couldn't drink the water. Then you couldn't eat the crops. And pretty soon, we wouldn't be able to breathe the f***ing air. I remember looking at Emmy and wondering what kind of a future would she have. So I decided to do something about it. The Mars project was Plan B for planet Earth, which was most evidently The family and I had already put down roots in Tesla City by the time the great catastrophe really hit. The corporation knew my contacts in the world of drilling and refining would be useful, so I adapted my skills to something more practical. Now we are all that keeps this little planet running. Mining those Martian chemicals for the battery banks, Martian cement for the buildings. My pure little Emma has a future. When somebody sits down and writes this all up for the history books, it might just be men like me they'll be hailing as heroes. It's men like me who saved humanity. Men like me who took us further than we ever dreamt possible.
Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
Some pretty heavy stuff. Reminds us that all kinds made it up here to Mars, but we're all in it together now. And remain creatures of the world. You're a tight beam to Radio Nostalgia from Mars. Music for the lost days of Earth.
Every morning I like to look at the sky. I whisper a word or two, and it glows right back at you. The smell of coffee and the bread, the news is sad, the children laugh. You were in me, now out of bed, ready for the big bad world. skyless dome. And love reaches up the world. And love reaches up the world. And love reaches up the world.
Your home away from home. Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
Creatures of the world, now that Attracted takes us back. Stefan Milenkovic, pining for blue skies, us musing on the games we play. Just a reminder that until further notice, there is a moratorium on all team leaders playing card and board games with their teams, following an incident over a game of Monopoly in Section C. All senior section team leaders will convene for emergency counseling and anger management courses. Until then, there'll be no intersectional board game tournaments and no games with groups larger than 4 people at a time per team. In the interim, teams are encouraged to take advantage of the half-ration special on Omas, the delicious and relaxing drink that takes the edge off of everything. Our next caller, Yamil, takes us into her world of food, smells, sensuality, blue skies, and sings us a personal song to remember.
Histoire, mémoire, le bon vieux temps, source originale, fable authentique, espoir, inspiration, drame, musique, Radio Nostalgie de Mars.
I have nightmares. I'm happy to be alive, but I knew many who deserved to live more than I did. But this is a radio program about nostalgia, not guilt. I've been nostalgic since I was 20, when I left Havana. In Europe, I felt different. Each country has a smell. Mars doesn't. Where I come from, the smell of the ocean, mango, bananas, coconut, mama's food, ropa vieja, de la abuelita, el con gris, la yuca con mojito, the most beautiful sun on Malecon, the smell of my street when the rain falls, all of that make me into the person I am. So when I left, I grew stronger. I experienced the world, but forever stayed incomplete. So now I'm double nostalgic. We were full of life, laughing on warm nights under blue sky, touching each other. The air filled with the smell of sweat from dancing with a Orquesta Aragon playing from an apartment. Now, the only way I can feel this scent is by singing. ¿Cómo fue? No sé decirte cómo fue. No sé explicarme qué pasó, pero de ti me enamoré. Fue una luz que iluminó todo mi ser. Tu risa como manantial llenó mi vida de inquietud. Fueron tus ojos o tu boca, fueron tus manos o tu voz. Fue a lo mejor la impaciencia de tanto esperar tu llegada, mas no sé decirte no sé explicarme qué pasó, pero de ti me enamoré.
Slušajte Radio Nostalgiju sa Marsa.
Thank you, young Neil. What a wonderful story. Reminds us that life is about so much more than just base survival. Well, living in space has always been challenging, and here's a song that pokes a little fun at living in cramped quarters. Needs no introduction. All you want. It's a classic.
Take a moment, relax, and remember with Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
A Russian and an American work together in space. A very different sight from the Cold War arms race, whether Kubrick or Tarkovsky, Solaris or 2001, Melville or Dostoevsky, Yesenin or Jack London. Two astronauts argued about art. That is an international relations. Two astronauts argued. Америка убила иракцев, убила Че, Аленда и Ламунду. Она убила корейцев и вьетнамцев, распространяя демократию. Don't get me started on Stalin and your talent to suffer under SARS, my friend. Your history is long. You also inflicted scars. Two astronauts argued about art. That is an international relations. Two astronauts argued. They speak in two tongues, but still for hours they talk. The same oxygen in their lungs, the same thrill on their spacewalk. Я скучаю по утреннему кофе в Москве, сказал российский космонавт. In the sunrise, said the American astronaut. Я скучаю по жене и домой, сказал российский космонавт. Also miss my wife and just like Charlie the astronaut. Two astronauts argue about art. That is an international relations. Two astronauts argue. Как светит солнце, свет Бога, и как прекрасна голубая земля. Говорится, геи из космоса. Indeed, search my friend with hope on our mind, on a mission for mankind.
Muzika iz starih dobrih dana. Radio Nostalgia de Marte.
Anna Church in there, and arguably the first interplanetary hit, Two Astronauts, an anthem to the Great Evacuation, and certainly one of our most popular requests. Speaking of requests, please follow Habitat protocols for sanitation. No liquids other than bodily in the main bin, including pee. Some of you don't like it, but all water is recycled, so pee into the funnel installed next to your toilet, please. Speaking of pee and poop, we recently welcomed our first official little Martian to the colony, and our next caller, Sophia, tells us what it's like to be a new mother on Mars.
Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
I'm so happy we moved to Mars. It was a project I funded from the very beginning. I knew it had potential and I trusted the amazing team working on it. As angel investors, my husband and I got early placements in the Ark ship. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to further human survival in our solar system. Speaking of the human project, I have some exciting news. Just a week ago, we welcomed our baby boy into the world. Words cannot express how overjoyed we are at welcoming little Maxim. Putting him to bed reminds me of my parents. From our window here in Tesla City, we can see the Earth, tiny enough to fit in Maxim's hand. It pains me that my child might never experience the beauty of my home in the Hamptons. The nature, coastline, the old lighthouse, and the food, the houses of our friends, our evening parties, full of life compared to this barren, rugged terrain. I send my little Martian to sleep with a lullaby my mother sang for me. Thanks to these songs, I'm able to retain, at least on a rudimentary level, my mother tongue. She sang like this. Shushti, bambusolis, pored moka prozora, noche tihos puštana gra, za nebeski svodova, noche tihos puštana gra, za nebeski svodova.
Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
Thank you, Sophia, for that uplifting news and beautiful song. Life always finds a way. Just as precious as a new life is the water that sustains it. You may have noticed that it doesn't rain here on Mars, so another friendly reminder that showers are strictly limited to 30 seconds each, with no exceptions. Corporate is looking into extending this time frame, but is meeting resistance from Section BC, who want lab rat urine to be excluded from the water recycling program, which will actually reduce allocated shower times to 27 seconds. Want a say in this? Join our sectional weekly meetings and vote while sipping on a relaxing tube of OMAS. Feels good, as it should.
Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
Speed on the Autobahn, like spaceship Earth around the sun. A diver's breath in the deep blue sea, bubbles like your thoughts of me. Make up sex on a summer's day, like an airplane on a runaway. Melts like ice cream in the sun. Desperate man taking his chance, quick as the kiss at your first dance. Keep your eyes open and don't you blink, you'll miss the boat before it sinks. Slide passes quickly, life bursts like a bomb, like a child in the morning, will soon be gone. So hold it close and don't waste your breath, the time will come when nothing is left, 'cause time passes quickly.
It flies by.
Speed on the autobahn, like spaceship birds around the sun. Like a tiger's breath in the deep blue sea, passes like your thoughts of me. Make up sings on summer's day, like an airplane on a runaway. Melts like ice cream in the sun. Doesn't fool anyone. Like a desperate man taking his chance. Quick as the kiss at your first desk. Keep your eyes open and don't you blink. You'll miss the boat before it sinks. Slide passes quickly like bus like a bomb. Like a child in the morning, it will soon be gone. So hold those close and don't waste your breath. The time will come when nothing is left. 'Cause life passes quickly.
It flies by.
You're home away from home. Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
Life passes quickly indeed. Another blast from the past, reminding us to savor each moment as it flies by. Speaking of savoring things, the Health and Well-being Department would like us to remind you that the popping and fizzing noise your dried food makes when you're adding water is perfectly normal and does not mean it has gone off or is contaminated. The Health and Wellbeing Department would also like to take this moment to remind you to take your bone density pills twice a week now, as it was discovered the original dose is off by a factor of 2. Right, on with the show. Music and dancing have always been a mainstay of stress relief and letting go. Our next caller, Merva, recalls her teenage clubbing days with vivid memories of awkward first kisses and a life-altering club experience invoking a philosophical epiphany.
Stories, memories, the good old days, original sources, authentic tales, hope, inspiration, drama, Radio Nostalgia from Mars.
So, when I was a kid in Vienna, in high school, we used to learn all the German poets, like Best Friends, Goethe and Schiller. But the first poet that actually spoke to me was Heinrich Heine. I knew a couple of Heine's poems by heart that are now buried somewhere deep in my mind. But one passage about burning books stuck with me. Yes, even till today. So, just to fast forward to college, just a couple of years before the Great Catastrophe, I was walking around Berlin with a group of friends coming from a house party. I still remember that apartment smelling of potatoes. Yes, because we always made pommes and drank schnapps before heading out. Yeah. And after that, I remember passing by Alexanderplatz on that very, very hot night. And next to me was a guy I liked. We kissed before, but I can't say I really remember that. Probably from all the drinking, or maybe he was just a bad kisser. But I can still feel this sticky, sweaty, and very ambivalent feeling of us holding hands. Yeah, anyways, we popped some pills and entered our techno church that, well, now when I think back, I visited more often than my college.